snack. Me and you gonna have a little chat about books. Hi guys! So I am here today to do my novel wrap-up for February 2016. I managed to read an awful lot of novels or novelettes, novellas, that sort of thing in the month of February. I don't know how I managed it because I was very, very busy at university, but somehow I've managed to get through a lot, and I can only credit that to audiobooks and trying to stay sane by reading. I think I'm going to have to split my wrap-up into two parts. I'm going to do this part, which will be all the novels, novellas, etc. And then I'm going to have another video where I talk to you guys all about the graphic works that I actually read in the month of February. So look out for that part as well, which will be up very, very soon, if not already. I'm going to go from lowest to highest, so let's get started with the one that I actually DNF'd. I didn't even read this one. This is The Book of Strange New Things. It is by MICHEL FABER, and this is a book I was really hoping to love. I think you'll all agree it's absolutely stunning when you look at it. The cover is just delightfully beautiful. However, I started reading this with a bunch of other people. We had a massive buddy read on the go, and I read the first few chapters and it just was not for me. The writing style was very slow. I wasn't really in the mood for a slow book at the time, and so I didn't actually end up going any further. It's not that I thought it was a bad book particularly. I didn't really read enough to know that it's a terrible book. However, I did hear from a lot of the people who did continue with the book and did finish it that they weren't really that into it. It never really picked up in pace, and so I was quite glad I DNF'd it. I know that this is one of Jen's favourite books from Jen Campbell, so if you like her taste then you'll probably enjoy it. However, I didn't enjoy this and I don't think I'll be keeping it. I think I'll be giving this away. I don't really want it and I don't feel like returning to it, unfortunately. So sadly, DNF this one, and I don't think I'll be picking up any of his other work because it just really wasn't for me. The next one I have to show you guys is A Portable Shelter. This is by Kirsty Logan. This is an ARC copy which I was very kindly sent from Jen. She sent this on to me when she got the physical copy. I'll put a picture of what the beautiful physical copy looks like. I wanted to love this so much. It's a collection of short stories told by a lesbian couple to their unborn child. I thought it was going to be great. It really disappointed me and Eleanor, who I was doing a buddy read with, and neither of us connected. We both thought it was a little bit disjointed and wasn't really working, so sadly I had to give this a 1 star. It wasn't awfully written, it just wasn't for me, but I did finish this one. The next one I had on my list I did actually like, which is good, and that is The Man in the High Castle. It is by Philip K. Dick, and it was my first Philip K. Dick book. I'm really glad that I picked this up because there is a TV show. That's the reason I actually picked this up, was because I wanted to watch the Man in the High Castle TV show on Amazon, and so now I can do that. But I read this with Chelsea and Elizabeth and Ottavio, and all of us had some really interesting discussions about this. It's about a dystopian future where the Nazis and the Japanese have won the war and everyone is controlled by them. It's quite crazy, it's quite dark in places, it definitely has a lot of racism, so it's quite an uncomfortable read, but I really liked it and I thought it was a really interesting start to Philip K. Dick's work, so I'll definitely be picking up more of his stuff in the future, and I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars overall. The next one I read on my Kindle, and that is The Traitor, or The Traitor Baru Cormorant, depending on whether or not you're in the US. Over here it's just called The Traitor, and it's by Seth Dickinson. This book is one I'd heard a lot of hype about. I know some people hate it, some people love it, and I can totally see why after reading it. The beginning is incredibly strong, the ending is incredibly strong, the middle is really boring, so take from that what you will. I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars overall. It was okay, I liked bits of it, like a lot, and then really didn't like other bits, so it was a bit of a mixed bag. The next one on my list is Otherland by Tad Williams. I read this in physical edition, but then I took it home with me when I went home midway through the month, as I did with a couple of these books, so I don't have the physical edition here. I loved this book. It was incredibly exciting. It was so futuristic. It was written in the 60s, but it predicts a lot of the stuff that we have in today's technology really well. It's a sci-fi, it's fantastic. It's a massive book. It's like 800-900 pages, so it's a very chunky one, but it was so much fun to read, and I absolutely definitely want to continue with that series sometime this year. So I've already got the second one on audiobook waiting for me to read it because it was just so fun and I really, really had a great time reading it in between doing work. So one I would definitely recommend. However, I did only give it a 3.5, and that is because it feels like it's only just the tip of the iceberg. It doesn't feel like this book resolves anything. You're definitely going to have to go on to the next book to actually get some answers to some of the questions, but it's such a well-developed world, so diverse, so interesting, and I will be doing a full review on this because it's so incredibly crazy, and I really want to just talk just about this one book to you guys, so look out for that review coming soon. Next one I read is a tiny little chapbook, and that is We Should All Be Feminists by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. It was my first Adichie read. I haven't read any of her other stuff, but I do want to, and it was also my first sort of diving into feminism read, which is pretty cool. So I really wasn't sure what to expect from it. It's really tiny, it's only about 60 pages, but it was very informative, very interesting, and I definitely agreed with a lot of what she had to say. Again, I've done a full video on this which will be up really soon, and in that I talk a little bit about my views on feminism and how I'm just sort of starting to uncover it. I haven't really got a lot of thoughts on it, but I'm starting to get more into it, if that makes sense. So you'll see that video coming soon as well. I ended up giving it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Next, I read a book I was sent by the publisher, and this is Treats by Laura Williams. I was sent this by Freight Books very, very kindly, and this is a short story collection. It's actually a literary short story collection, so it was one of my first literary ones, because most of them I've read so far have been magical realism. I definitely enjoyed this. I think Laura Williams can write beautifully, but I do think a lot of the themes that she addressed were very similar, and so some of the stories within this blurred together a bit. Again, I'll talk more about this in a review that I'm doing soon, but I really liked a lot of the stories, and I ended up giving this a 3.5 out of 5 stars as well. The next one I read is Rebel of the Sands, which is by ALWYN Hamilton. This was again sent to me by the publisher. This is from FABER and FABER, and they very kindly sent this one to me for review. It's a YA, and it's definitely a fun one. I really enjoyed it, and I read this in less than 3 hours, even though it's over 300 pages. It's a really quick read, and it's a really fun read, and it's set in the desert. It's got this Arabian Nights kind of feel to it, and it's also got magic and mayhem, which is always fun. So I really liked this. It was very light, very much what I wanted at the time, and I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. The next one I read was issue 113 of CLARKESWORLD, which is one of the magazines I have recently subscribed to on my Kindle, and I really enjoyed this one. I think I enjoyed it a little bit more than issue 112, so I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars, but I will be doing a joint review of the two of them very soon. The next one I read was St. Lucy's Home for Girls Raised by Wolves. This is by Karen Russell, and it's a short story collection with magical realism elements, and I really liked this one. It was a lot of fun. Some of the stories are very, very memorable. Some of them are completely beautifully written, so I definitely enjoyed it, and I gave that one a 4 out of 5 stars, and again I'll review it soon. The next one I read was Calamity by Brandon Sanderson. This is the final one in the Reckoners trilogy. I really liked it. Didn't think it was the best in the series, but I still really liked it, so I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. The next one I read online at tor.com. This is one of the novellas that they publish on their website, and it is The Pauper Prince and the EUCALYPTUS JINN, and this is by USMAN MALIK. It's a really short story, and it didn't take me too long to read through, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was beautifully written and had some really interesting ideas about Pakistani culture, because the author himself is Pakistani, and I haven't really read a lot of stuff that is influenced with Pakistani culture, so I found it fascinating. It also has fantastical elements, of course, and that always ticks every box, so I really enjoyed it, and I'm glad to have discovered him as an author and added him to the list of ones that I really like, so definitely one worth checking out. The next one that I read is a reread, and it was His Dark Materials by Philip Pullman. I loved this the first time through, and the second time through was no exception, so I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars overall. Sweet Home by BRAY. This short story collection is stunning. I adored every story within this. I thought they were all exceptionally beautiful, exceptionally wonderfully written, and I have already done a review of this. Check it out if you haven't seen it already, but it was a fantastic read all round, and I was very kindly sent that one by the publisher as well, but it was fantastic, and I'm so glad that I was, and I can't wait to read more of her stuff in the future. I gave that one a 5 out of 5 stars. The next 5-star book that I read was Wonderstruck. This is by Brian SELZNIK. It is a children's middle grade book. It is beautifully illustrated. I'll put up some pictures of what the illustrations look like because they're all pencil drawn, and it's such a stunning book. The young boy in it is half deaf, which resonated with me a lot because I'm also half deaf. There were some really wonderful moments. It's not actually a science fiction or fantasy, it's just a children's fiction, but it had this sort of whimsical feel to it, and it was so beautifully drawn and illustrated. I couldn't not give this a 5 out of 5 stars as well, and a review for that will be coming soon. The next one I read was ASCENDANT'S RITE by David Hare. This is the final one in the Moontide Quartet series, and I adored this. It was fantastic. I loved it. It was a very satisfactory ending to the series, but it also leaves enough room for the new series that he's writing to come in as well and be super exciting. I cannot wait for the new series, and I'm so glad that I finished the first series and loved every single book. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. The next one that I read is a reread, and that was Order of the Phoenix, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix by J.K. Rowling. Obviously, I loved this. I thought it was fantastic and had a great time listening to it. It was just so wonderful. I haven't reread this book probably ever. I think I've only ever read this once. So it was the only book that I have only read once, and I was so excited to get back into it, and I absolutely adored it. So gave that one a 5 out of 5 stars. Of course, Harry Potter, it's not going to get any less. Loved it. And the final book that I read and gave a really high rating to was Morning Star by Pierce Brown. This one I was very excited to get because I have been waiting for a year for this, I think. It's just fantastic, this series. It's a sci-fi series that is just full of brutality and craziness and great characters and great moments and epic battle scenes. It's fantastic, and this ending was my favourite book in the series. It was an absolutely stellar ending to the series, so I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. Those are all of the novels, novellas, e-magazines, etc. this month that I have read. Quite a lot, I'm sure you will agree, and I'm very, very happy to have read a lot of them because I gave most of them pretty good ratings. I hope you guys will check some of these out. Do let me know down below which ones you are planning to check out, and don't forget to look out for the graphic novel part of my wrap-up because I have enough graphic novels this month that I can do a full wrap-up of them on their own, so that will be coming really, really soon. So look out for that. Thank you all for watching. I will see you all again soon in another video. Bye! Me and you gonna have a little